This is Albert from WCC, and I'm interviewing Phil Tam, the new champion of Premium Cardfight Vanguard at the Rosemont Regional.
One of the 3 champions.
Yeah, the one of the three champions. And this boy went X1 and carried his team on his back, and now he has a sore back. Phil, tell us what you played.
Hey guys, it's Champ of Difference in Skill. I got this. Just kidding, it's Phil. Today, Team League Chicago Regionals, I decided to go with my trusty Ange deck. It was recently hit by the ban list, but I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how I could make it work. And after looking over a lot of the card choices, I felt like the ban list, it hurt, but this deck is still very much usable. It's still very strong. You may or may not have seen Solemn Vanguard's top 4 deck breakdowns, where I think it was Malaysia, where there, in the top 4 teams, every one of them had at least one Ange player. So I'm like, you know what? I think I'll stick with this deck. Plus, I freaking love anime, and I love cute anime girls. So we gotta go with Bermuda Triangle, and they're still very strong, and they will only get stronger once the new trial deck Chocolat de Melody gets dropped in about a month or so.
All right, so let's look at your deck before we go to your matchups.
Almost indefinitely. So standard start. You start with Bermuda Triangle Cadet Shizuku. You're a grade 3 searcher. This goes with another card in the deck, but I'll get to that later. Check top 5 for grade 3. The 1 Kruk, rip. I played 3 Laylas. I know some decks opt to play 4, but I feel like 3 is enough because I want, most of the time, I do want this in my hand so that I can just push damage. I feel like the new game plan for this deck is pushing damage with Layla and your Generation Break 2 Lucille. Most of the time you just do it and you strip Protect decks of their Protect so quickly. They either have to take the damage or they have to Perfect Guard the crap out of it. I'm playing 4 Shushu Roberta. This is your other crit that you can put into Soul. 2 reasons why I'm playing it. One is the Shushu. So in the absolute case, worst case scenario where I don't have something to swing with, this is the Shushu. It will get the pump from Tira Stride, and it also gets the pump from another card in this deck. Skill goes Soul, countercharge. Because I'm so reckless with my Laylas, this refunds my Soul and my counter blast, so I can continue to apply the pressure with Layla. It's just more criticals. And then I'm playing 4 draw. I know some decks opted to go with a bunch of criticals instead. Some people go straight 12 critical. But I feel like this draw trigger, if you're playing from behind, checking a draw trigger on defense is still pretty good. Plus, whenever you check a draw trigger, that's more fuel for your multiple perfect cards. You don't want to just discard your random pieces instead of perfect guarding with this. It also gives 3k. There were a few times where that didn't matter, where I could make something like Lucille hit a force number by herself if I wasn't on a Tiro Stride. Most of the time I was. And there are times where I literally just stuff this in the Soul to keep my Soul count high if I'm like abusing my Chi guards and such. And of course, 4 Shushu Milena, which is the counter charge Soul Charge crit. Most of the time I use this to Soul Charge to continue my Chi guarding shenanigans. I play 5 Aquas. Aqua is one of the most powerful PGs in existence. It fuels your Soul. The only reason I'm playing 5 is because I feel like 6 is unnecessary since NLK got the hit. So I feel like 5 is enough to deal with almost everything that the meta can throw at you nowadays. I play 2 copies of Arune. This card is really good. It allows your Lucille's to hit force numbers by themselves, and then most of the time, a lot of the time I use this to try and filter into my necessary pieces for each individual matchup. And these individual pieces can range from a Honolulu to something like a card with Harmony, but we'll get more into that later. I played 2 Honolulu only. This card is good. It saved me so many times in the Ezo matchup, but most of the time it's just there. It doesn't affect you unless you're going for a very specific stride pattern. Post banless, you're not focusing on the multi-attack as much, but that's only because this is how I built the deck. I think Albert was playing a similar deck to mine, but he was playing a multi-attack variant. He's got a slightly different list.
But I also played 3 on only.
Yes. Well, you want to see it early in the Ezo matchup. I played 2 Shizukus. It's nice whenever you can go into this and check top 5 and add a grade 3 to your hand. Sometimes if you had the misfortune of having to discard one of your Lucille's to stride and you had no other grade 3s, you can do a high role play where you use Ange's on stride skill to search the Generation Break 2 crit Layla. Where is she? Layla. And then you can try and like call the Layla in front of this, or call something random in front of this to check top 5 and maybe you know, grab a Lucille, and then all of a sudden your turns become live. I play 4 Shiratsuyu. This is your ride fixer, your ride consistency. Everything about this is important. Helps you get to your Tra if you don't have it. Helps you get to your Ange if you don't have it. Just hope they don't get rid of your starter. It's self-explanatory. Soul Blast 1, choose a Shizuku in the Soul, add to your hand. If it's the grade 0, countercharge, Soul Charge. So you get essentially 2 searches with Shizuku or more. I play 4 Sandy. Sorry if it's a split of SP and regular. Yikes. My other 2 didn't come in the mail from Singapore. Singaporeans. But this is your extra G Guardian. You're playing essentially 8 G Guardians in the same deck. I play 2 Bobo. This card was very over the course of the day. I literally only put it in because I was scared of geese. I freaking hate, I don't know about hate, but I have a very bad record of playing against geese. But that's only because whenever they damage deny me and they reach their geese, I can't hit the 30k base because of the lack of V triggers. So these are just there, but most of the day they didn't really do anything because I didn't actually play too much geese. I think I only played 1 geese in top 8, and that was it. 4 Ange. These are all SP. I got them on release. They were very, very expensive. The core deck. I play 4 Lucille. This is your main attacker, your stride fodder, almost everything that you want in the deck. Your aggro. Actually, that's everything. Everything. Almost indefinitely. I've got this very ugly lineup of 3 Tra. I got 1 SP and like 2 regulars. So this is your superior ride piece. And then to complete the lineup, 1 top Isle Revere. The main reasoning behind 3 is I feel like 4 is too much. You see it too much. And then 3 is just that right amount. The 1 Revere is like, you know, if you lose it in like a soul charge or a damage check, you know that it was meant to be. But other than that, this initiates your either, if you're going first, you're always going to get the superior ride or the superior stride off. You will always have first stride, and then as soon as you do the, you know, the superior ride, the next turn you can rewrite Ange, and if you had G guarded the turn before that, you have Generation Break 2 already. So anything that you discard is free, and you get it back immediately. Obviously, the only drawback is that you're on a 10k base for a turn, but very rare decks can take advantage of that. Gold Paladin can take advantage, but that's why in the Gold Paladin matchup, I try to give them as few counterblasts as possible, and then hopefully I have a Honolulu to try and restrict their movements. There are turns where I'll give them like no damage, and then they'll be like, what do I do? Generation Zone, I have 3 Tirua. This is your pump of the deck, your power of the deck, your finisher of the deck. It does everything, restand, power, everything. Very powerful card. It's your finisher almost like 90% of the time. The 1 legendary Isle Revere. So the way trial works is if you were on grade 3, let's say you got first, let's say they didn't give you the superior ride, you can still ride up normally, and then if you do a superior ride off trial while you're at grade 3, you can strike this initially. So that turns on your Generation Break first. There aren't too many cards in this deck that can take advantage of that. The only cards that come to mind are Irune, so you get a free filter draw, and Shizuku grade 1, which will give you another grade 3. You know, let's say you needed more Lucille's.
Don't forget the Trois stand.
Yes. You know, if things are looking good and you think and the opponent doesn't get a damage trigger, you can always go for an aggro play where you can use Traw's second ability, which is when you attack with the Riviere, you can Soul Blast 1 and then you stand this. So it's an additional attack, yes. But like almost 80% of the time, I've never done this skill because I'm afraid they're gonna hit a V trigger and then I wasted a soul for nothing. You know, that's the reason why I didn't bring up the second ability. Like I almost never use the second ability. I'm very it may be playstyle because I play super conservative, but at the same time, it's only that. This is essentially a vanilla Sea Breeze. There's an ability on it. I just read it as Pretty Girl Eats Watermelon Sea Breeze. I play 1 Generation Break 8 Festo Finale Priscilla. This one is your alternative finisher if you don't kill them with your 2 lure strike. Multi-attack. You usually only go into this if you're holding a combination of multiple Lucios and or a Kruk. You know, it gives you so many attacks, and you usually try and do this when they're at 4 or 5. 1 Mogito. I almost never use this, but I used it once in my match today against Albert after he tried to flex on me. I play 2 Shizuku, grade 4. It's Counterblast 1, flip herself. You check the top, not check, reveal the top 5, and you add up to 2 grade 3s, or cards with Shizuku in their name. So usually your only targets are grade 3s and the grade 1 Shizuku. You can get a +2. And then there's like a guard restrict effect on here somewhere where you can reveal any number of Shizukus from your hand. It gains 5,000 for each one, and then your opponent can't guard with those grades against this card's battle for this card's battle. I almost never use this. This is only to ride fix yourself if you wrote something crappy that wasn't Ange, like let's say you were stuck on Top Out Riviere or Tra or Lucio. This is your 1 out.
That card gave me a game loss.
I play 2 copies of School Student Council Alk. So let's see. A lot of people don't see this card anymore, right? Because it was initially to be used in a Harmony deck. Its ability is Counterblast 1, flip herself, choose X rearguards. Oh, and choose 2 rearguards with the Harmony ability and return to your hand. That's the cost, right? And then it gains the red text, which is when it attacks, you may bounce X back to your hand, where X is the number of G-Zone +1, and then you call 2. And then it's also got Generation Break 3, where all units in Harmony gain 5,000 power. So this is, ever since Kruk was hit to 1, this is your multi-attack finishing turn, for this deck at least, because Kruk being put to 1 really hurt being able to apply the multi-attack pressure for game if you were at 4 or 5. Where are you? Yeah, it really hurt. It's actually super broken if you have Kruk. It's a super nasty multi-attack finishing turn. This I almost never strode it.
But you did against me.
You right. I almost never strode it because it requires 2 Harmony units. That's part of its cost. And this deck only plays 3 Harmony units. 2 grade 1 Shizukus, and then the 1 Kruk. So if I ever found my chance to draw into the Harmony units, or I grip my Kruk long enough, I could go into this and usually either cripple the opponent, force a lot of cards, or win the game. Like, this Generation Break 3 was almost always online. It allows for the cap of 5 attacks. Let me see. If I have Kruk, it's 1, 2,
It's 6.
3, 4, 5,
6, yeah.
6 attacks. 6 attacks. 6 attacks is pretty good.
Hey man, you can get another one with Rampha.
Hey. Alright.
Oh wait, no you can't. It's not a Tiro Vanguard.
No.
Wait, no you can't.
No, you can't. Alright, for G Guardians, I play 2 Citron. Citron is at 2 mainly for the Nubatama matchup. I didn't actually run into any Nubatama. Sometimes if my field just happened to be nuked, or I didn't call a field at all, it's to set up so that I could use Ange's Stride Break and gain all my pluses, and hopefully, you know, snowball the game from there. Its skill, on place on rearguard circle, choose a grade 1 or greater from your hand, call to rearguard circle. If you did, it gains 10k shield to the other battle. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4 Luxury Wave Ellie. These were very expensive. They're SP and the most abusable G guard in existence. With this, you G guard more than Gear Chronicle, the masters of G guarding. And then, you know, obviously it gets fatter as the game goes on. And that's the deck.
Would you like to talk about your matchups today? Like,
Oh,
what did you play against today?
What did I play against today? Today I played against a lot of rogue. I was sitting in the C position, so I wasn't expecting a lot of meta matchups until like the later rounds. I think I played 2 Ezos, and then the rest were basically a blur. I can recount the top 8 pretty vividly because we just finished that, right?
Yeah.
So first round of top 8, I played against the.
You played me, dude.
Oh yeah, this guy.
So well, we didn't really play, but yeah.
Yeah, we didn't really play. So you know, we'll skip that one, right? We'll go on to the top 4 matchup. Top 4 matchup, we actually got matched up against a team of 3 Geese players, and I was playing against the Oracle Think Tank Geese deck. So that one was it would have been a harder matchup had I not drawn to my Bobo early. Unfortunately, once I got my Bobo, it meant that I could spam my Laylas all I want. Even if the opponent kept me at 1 face-up damage, I was at 2, and then when I Bobo, I automatically went to 3. And you know, knowing the OTT Geese matchup, you know that there's nothing to fear, right? They don't go Ichikishima Tom. They don't do any of that aggro crap. So you can sit there. You have a lot of time. You actually have a lot of time to try and kill them. And then the finals, I was playing against Go Paladin. Go Paladin, the dude was smart. Props to this guy. He passed the first 2 turns because he didn't want me to get my superior stride off, which was great. And he actually put me into a bad position early, right? He was at 1, I was at 0 because he didn't attack me. So he swings with his first triple drive. I no guard him. He hits double crit followed by heal. So automatically I'm at a huge disadvantage. My hand was full of multi attack pieces, so I'm like, all right, I can't waste these. So when that happened, all I could do was try and grind. Hopefully I drew into my holy, which I did. I damage checked 1. I'm like, oh my god, please don't damage check the other one. And then I drew into the other one. I just hard committed it, and after that, the game was basically under my control. Unfortunately, I don't know why this was done, but our round went to time, and they decided, you know, my match was the deciding factor. So they tried to determine it at time. It was 3-3. All my damage was face down, and I believe my opponent could not stride. He actually drew into a, I think he drew into like a trigger or something. He couldn't stride. So what, you know, you couldn't stride. You lose a turn of insane aggro. It was bad. I feel bad because then the next turn I was able to just G guard out his turn. Now I'm like, all right, I'm a Generation Break 8. I'll draw for turn, and you know, keep in mind at this point we were still with 3 damage to 3 damage, and I'm like, man, pretty sure I'm due for a heal trigger somewhere down the line. And you know, I do my Generation Break 8. I had double Lucio and a Kruk, and I had discard all of them for stride, so they got the massive pump, and I basically got all my attacks in. He tried to guard all of them, but it didn't help. And it didn't matter that he could have guarded all of them because I drove check into heal stand and then like a blank. So I was able to essentially do 2 Kruks on the Generation Break 8 turn, which is really, really strong. He was at 3. He just took damage, and you know, he still went to 4. I was at 2 because I healed, and then they called game right. They called game right there because the damage had changed and we were in turns. So I felt a little sad that I kind of won on a technicality, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure even if he had guarded out my turn, he would have had nothing left. He could have, like, maybe if he had top decked into a stride, but he had already used all 4 of his Gurgawit strides that have guard restrict and quad drive by that time. So I think, you know, there wasn't too much he could do after that. I would just hard grind him and then double my power with crit again, and that would be it.
If there's anything you could change in this deck, would you?
Almost definitely. Violet's Delirium coming out. I may or may not bump Honly back up to 3 because I don't want to die to that infinite loop. But the build that Albert was running was actually pretty good. And as we talked more about it, the more I was like, man, I should really run this build. In Albert's build, he plays 2 copies of Shushu Rampa over instead of Bobo. And I think he plays like 3 copies of Irune. I know you played 3 Honly.
Two Irune and 1 Shizuku.
I may I may cut Shizuku down to 1, just so I can squeeze in the extra copy of Ranfa. So a Ranfa turn, Ranfa plus Irune is a more reliable turn than, you know, gambling on drawing into Kruk and multiple Shizukus and then going for the Alt turn. I feel like that's better. It also puts more pressure on the opponent if they somehow decide, hey, it's a good idea to rush this man. They'll rush you. You can be like, okay, if you have first strike, you're like, or first strike while they're at 2, right? If you have first strike while they're at 2, you're like, all right, first strike, here's my Rune, here's my Ranfa. All right, get him.
And are there any shout-outs of people that you want to...
Shout-outs, definitely shout-outs to Kevin Cho. Me and him playtested this deck super hard. Shout-outs to my locals at Cardfires Underground. Shout-outs to my awesome teammate Brian. Brian Maymay. We made top 8 in White Schwartz yesterday as well. But he hadn't played Vanguard in so long that I was like, alright Brian, at the very least, you know, he's a very lazy person. I'm like, Brian, at the very least, please, for the love of God, learn the Nubatama matchup. I know it's going to be everywhere. It was in the finals, and that was the deck that wasn't hit by the ban list. Ange was. So if they're going to get that hit by the ban list, doesn't that mean Nubatama is automatically the best deck in the format? Please at least playtest that one. Even though most of the games, Brian's like, no man, all you need to do is Zoe plus Rhino for game. I'm like, god damn it, Brian. At least play against this. So we played non-stop. Usually when we go to our store, we play like a bunch of White Schwartz, but over the last 2 weeks, we played nothing but Vanguard Premium non-stop. I don't think he ran into any Ange in the all day actually. I don't think he ran into any. But it was, you know, I tried to warn him about the Ezo matchup, but he's like, dude, if everyone's just gonna die to the Ezo matchup, you know, there isn't too much that I can do about it. And that is correct. There isn't too much you can do about it, but at least be wary of the cards. Shoutouts to Brian for being an awesome teammate. I guess shoutouts to David, our 3rd teammate as well. But, you know, main shoutouts to Kevin Cho and Albert. Definitely Albert. We talked a lot about this deck. And definitely Kevin. Definitely Kevin. He was great playtest partner. We played so much Nubatama. I think we played like a few Ezo, but there was so much Nubatama that we playtest. I was like, I think I was in the zone to face Nubatama, but I didn't face any Nubatama today. So that was very awkward.
Alright, well, thank you to Phil Tam for giving us his list, and stay tuned to our channel to see more recaps of the Rosemont Regional as well as more deck lists for Standard as well as Premium. Thank you guys, and have a good night.
Bye bye.